Hand cut or die cut? Which is better? Well, in my professional opinion, it depends. Find out why on the business side. Hey everyone, welcome to the business side, where I give you insight into what it's like to run a leather business. So the question asked today, is it better to die cut something as opposed to hand cutting something? Well, like I said, it depends. That's a hard question to answer. You need to tell me, how are we evaluating betterness? Are we talking about the quality or consistency of the cuts? All right, here's patterns. One of them is hand cut, one of them is die cut. Can you tell the difference? Maybe if you were up close, not looking via camera, and knew what you were looking for, you could tell me which was which. But no, you can't tell the difference. In fact, when these pieces get on pouches, all right, any little inconsistencies between hand cut or die cut is not going to make one bit of difference in the quality of the pouch. So quality, consistency of the cut, that's not really an issue here. That's not a way to evaluate which one is better than the other. Now, if we're talking in terms of time we can measure, and therefore we can evaluate betterness if we count time. So we're going to cut to a time lapse. I'm going to show you how long it takes to cut something with a die cut, and then how long it takes to cut the exact same thing by hand. Stay tuned. We're just going to round down just to make things easier. It takes about 20 seconds for me to cut out one of those patterns with a die cut, as opposed to 3 minutes and 9 different tools to cut things by hand. All right, so that's a difference of 2 minutes and 40 seconds. How much is that worth to you? What does that cost you? You may have heard the phrase, time is money. All right, let's go off of that. Let's actually convert that time to money, and we can get a better idea to answer the question, which is better for you in your situation that you're in. You know, should you get a press and die cuts, or should you continue cutting things by hand? Well, let's see. Let's just say, for sake of argument, you feel your work is worth $50 an hour. All right, if we convert 20 seconds to $50, that means 20 seconds is worth 28 cents. As opposed to 3 minutes at $50 an hour, that comes out to $2.50. That means the difference. The value of 2 minutes and 40 seconds is $2.22. Now, if you're at the point where you're debating, should you get a die press, die cuts, things like that, you probably are already cutting things by hand. All right, so you have the hand tools, you have the cutting mats, you have the straight edge, you have the blades, you have whatever else. You've already invested that money. So what type of investment is it going to take for you to get a press and dies? Well, this press, that's the Weaver Mighty Wonder Master Tool 8-ton clicker press. That's going to run you almost $3,500. All right, die cuts about $250. All right, rounding, it really comes out to about a little bit more than $3,700. Well, $3,700 versus $2.22. All right, obviously $3,700 weighs a lot more. It's not worth spending $3,700 to save you $2.22. However, just that straight cost, that's not the only thing that we're talking about here. We obviously in our business made the decision to get the press, and I'm pointing over here because from my point of view, that's where the press is. Okay. So what did we look at to determine, yes, we're going to get this press? That's the right decision for us. Well, it really came down to three things. To make it right for us. This is not right or wrong for you. I'm not telling you what you should do, but take my advice, take it or leave it. The three things were our business model, product sales, and debt. Those were the big things. So let me kind of explain what I mean. Business model. You can really go two main routes or some combination of the two. You can go with a leather business, you can go the custom work route. All right, you're taking orders, you're working with a client, you're making one-off, high-quality custom things for that client. Or you can go the production route, all right, where you are making large quantities, batches of the same type of product, either to sell yourself, to sell to retailers, and they can resell for you. So we're talking volume here. So custom versus production. All right, what business model do you have? What are you getting into? For us, we're doing production. In fact, our first sales, the reason we decided to start a business is because we got a batch bulk order for a product that I made for our pouches by Self-Reliance Outfitters. They wanted 50 pouches. So we were making the same thing 50 times. All right. In fact, that's been our business model. We try and work with other companies to get them to resell, or we build components for them that we batch out. So for us, for our business model, it made sense for us to get a press, because we're going to be doing the same thing, cutting out the same patterns over and over and over again. Whereas with the custom stuff, if that's what you're starting out with, that's what you're doing. All right, you might make like a knife sheath for someone, but then you may not use that knife sheath pattern that you made to get that work done for years. You may get other knives in, but they may not fit that pattern that you had. And so you make new patterns, you do other things, maybe you do some book covers, book binding, maybe you make holsters, maybe you make wallets, whatever else. You're constantly making new patterns, and eventually you'll get to the point where maybe you're reusing some of those patterns, but a lot of that stuff is one-off type work. That's why it's custom. So it may not make sense for you to get a die cut or a press if that's your business model. Nothing wrong with this. No right or wrong way to do it. You can make a lot more money with the custom route as opposed to the production route. It's up to you. But for us, it made sense. The second thing, product sales. All right, you may have an idea of something that you think is a great leather product. You've poured your passion, your energy into it, all your love, and you have made what you feel is the perfect leather item. And you are sure, you are 100% sure that everyone else in the world is going to love what you design just as much as you do. Only to find out that maybe they don't. Maybe they don't, all right? You might have a couple people that like it, but it's not really selling. Well, what if you didn't think about that and you were so in love with your product, you're like, oh, man, as soon as the market gets wind of this, I'm going to be making thousands of these things, hundreds of thousands. Let me get a press. Here we go. You invest the money, you drop $3,700, and then no one wants what you had to sell. See, here's the thing. There's a very big difference between for sale and sold. I can have a million things for sale. Doesn't mean I'm paying my bills with it, because I need those things to have been sold before I get paid. So you need some type of indicator to let you know that the product that you are wanting to produce will actually sell, and it will sell enough for you to recoup the cost of what it takes to get a press. Okay, so more calculation. This is an simplification. I get that. All right, 2 minutes 40 seconds worth $2.22. So if you want to buy press die cuts, about $3,700. How many of these in conjunction with a larger product would you have to sell just to recoup, just to break even with the cost of the press? Well, you would need to sell 1,667 patterns. All right, products with that pattern. Now, granted, I'm not talking taxes. I'm not talking markups. We're not going into how to price your products and such. I'm just giving you something to think about. The time that you're saving to cutting out that one piece, you need to sell almost 1,700 of those pieces to buy back your time, or for that to be worth it. Are you able to do that? What indicator lets you know that you're going to be able to sell that volume? Now, am I saying that you have to wait until you sell almost 1,700 items, cutting them all by hand, taking all that extra time before you invest in it? No. Would you like to know what the number was for us? It was 150. 150 pouches. Okay? That's what it was for us, but that's still not the indicator. That's just the number that we decided, let's go ahead and pull the trigger on this thing and get it done. What we found, because I wanted to get the press right away, but my wife was like, maybe we should wait to see if these pouches we're making actually sell before we buy that. And I was like, that's a really, really good idea. It's good advice. So we did. Like I said, we sold our first batch to Self-Reliance Outfitters. This was late summer 2020. And we were super excited when the pouches were up on the site. They had a little banner on the homepage saying there was a new product. Like, we were just beyond happy, thrilled. And we needed to see if Self-Reliance Outfitters was able to sell our pouches before we invested in the machinery to be able to mass produce them. Because if they didn't sell for Self-Reliance Outfitters not coming back to us to buy more. And so we were waiting, we saw them posted, and within 24 hours, all 50 pouches sold out. Within 24 hours. Right then, that day, we placed the order for the press, and then started to figure out the process of how to order our die cuts, get them custom made and manufactured for us. And so we had to go through another couple batches of hand cuttings while we were waiting for these things to get to us. But after 150 pouches, from then on out, we were making, we were using the die press to cut out our patterns. And we have made the value of that press many times over from what we've sold. All right, so that was an indicator. We made the right call. People liked what we had. We got the press. The third thing that was important to us was debt. Are we going to put this on a credit card, or are we going to pay cash for it? Well, it just so happens we had enough money in our savings to completely cover the cost of a press and the die cuts. We did not want to go into debt with it. Some people may not have a problem with debt. We do. We don't want to operate that way in our lives, in our business. We want to be debt free. All right, we are working our tails off to be debt free, and that was a big thing for us. It was a lot of money. We didn't want to put that on a credit card. We wanted to make sure we had cash for it, and we did. We didn't actually have to make almost 1,700 of our pouches before we paid for it. We had the cash from our regular 9 to 5s that we were working then. We were able to pay cash. So for us, our business model, we are more into production, mass producing the same type of things as opposed to custom work. We do custom work, but that's not the bread and butter. It's not the foundation of our business. All right. Second thing, sales. We knew we had a product that would sell, and that would sell in volume. Okay. So that was an indicator. Yes, we need to do that, and we were able to pay cash for it. So our business model, the fact that it sold, the fact we could pay cash for it, that for us, for Justin Nazarene Leather Company, yes, the press is better. Cutting things out with a die is better than hand cutting. Okay. For our pouches, for things that we produce. So thank you for joining me on the business side. I hope this all made sense and that you were able to gain some insight into why we do what we do. Maybe you're an aspiring leather crafter and you are debating whether or not to get a press, all right? Even if it's not the Mighty Wonder from Weaver, maybe it's something else you're trying to DIY to rig up, whatever. I would encourage you. Does it fit with your business model? Do you have a product that sells that you know that you can batch out and get the volume of sales you need to cover the cost? And are you going to go into debt for it? Or are you going to pay cash for it? Those are the things that I would consider. That's what we considered before we got the press. And if it's the right move for you and what you want to do, go for it. Go for it. If it's not the right move, okay. Continue to hand cut. Nothing wrong with it. Some people even prefer that. All right? So thank you for joining me in the workshop for the business side of things at Justin Nazarene Leather Company. Have a good day. Bye now.